Hello. Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. How the devil are you? Right, February's coming at us, right? Not today, eh? Come and be a warrior teacher. Come and join us as we continue the fight, which is by no means over, despite what you're hearing. And here's evidence of that. This is just incredible. And I think if something isn't done, which is not going to be done because we've got Starmer in charge, then this is going to harm people. And there will be people within the civil service who are extremely unhappy about this, I can assure you. And I cannot understand what the hell they're playing at. And their excuses for doing what they're doing, which is what I'm about to explain to you, just seem utterly pathetic. So let's begin. HMRC, for those of you watching abroad, Her Majesty's something or other. It's to do with tax, right? It's to do with tax. And they take your money, the swine, and they take far too much of it. HMRC staff given 1 day off a week to promote gender ideology. Yes, this is real. Tax office seeks new LGBTQ plus role as it faces fierce criticism over poor customer service levels. This is from the Telegraph, no less, on the 25th of January. Tax office seeks new role. Yes, civil servants at the tax office are being given the equivalent of 1 day a week off to promote gender ideology, the Telegraph can reveal. Yeah, because it's over now, isn't it, because of Trump? No, it's not. An internal job advert seen by the Telegraph states Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs is seeking a new deputy chair of its LGBT. It's now LGBT, is it? LGBT plus staff network. The job specification states that the successful candidate will be permitted to dedicate 20% of their working week to supporting the network's activities. So in other words, we, you and I, the humble taxpayer, are paying for somebody to take 1 day a week to promote a dangerous cult. How are we doing, civil servants out there? I know that you guys have been leading the fight back ever since the first Scene network went up. But here we go. Here we are. Your current role is not as important as your experience and drive to promote fairness, HMRC workers are told. Fairness? What on earth does the LGBTQ plus have to do with fairness? It adds, you won't have to do this on top of your normal job. We'll give you 20% of your time to dedicate to network activities. The working arrangements that see staff keep full pay are understood to apply to 3 workers at HMRC who lead the department's so-called PRISM LGBT plus network and are signed off by the tax authority's executive committee. It comes after the tax office has faced fierce criticism over poor customer service levels. Now, this is one of these, what they call affinity groups, and you'll find them in big organizations. They're essentially internal political networks that lobby and provide pressure to inculcate what is always, it's not the staff badminton team. It's not like the internal team for cake bakers, you know what I mean? Or squirrel fanciers. It's not any of that, right? This is about, let's promote LGBTQ, which we know is a hard left neoliberal nonsense that harms children, gay people, and women. And in fact, everybody, if the truth be told, it's an absolute corrosive on our society. And what they've got is this entire network of people, that are just essentially bothering everyone about gender. A damning report by the Public Accounts Committee, a spending watchdog, claimed on Wednesday that the HMRC was damaging trust in the tax system. Do you think? They haven't helped me at all? You won't believe the problems I've had. It's just a nonsense. They really are. Though failings such as cutting customers off with no explanation after they've been waiting on the line for as long as 70 minutes. 70 minutes on the damn phone. It's just all too complex, I'm afraid. It's all too complicated. Here's what comes in, here's what goes out. That's all you need to know. The rest of it is nonsense. There's about 1,000 categories now for VAT. I know, you can buy this, but you can't buy that. And it's absolute nonsense. They really are an utter mess. The committee said that HMRC had blamed such shortfalls on not being adequately resourced to meet telephone demands from taxpayers. You think? We're not answering enough calls. Oh, that's terrible. What do you really? How do you know? The figures are in. God. What are we going to do? I know. Let's pay 3 people to spend 20% of their time pushing gusset fumblers. Genius. That's what's happening. Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform UK, said taxpayer-funded diversity, equality and inclusion initiatives should be stopped. This all has to end. A Reform government will end DEI lunacy, he said. Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg, every time I say that name, I see a monocle on a top hat. Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg, the former business secretary, said civil servants are not meant to involve themselves in politics, and this is just another type of campaigning which ought not to be funded by taxpayers. Do you think? Really? I'm wondering, because you're all taxpayers out there, I imagine, most of you, or you have in your life paid tax, maybe you're now retired, but you'll let me know in the comments, won't you, whether you think that the taxpayer should pay so that hard left, child-harming, anti-reality, anti-human, anti-science, and anti-reason people can get together in a group in the civil service, which pay us, we pay for, and they serve us, and bother people about gender. They're just gender botherers, right? What do you think? Should they? Should they? You tell me. You tell me. We ought to learn from Donald Trump, Rees-Mogg continued, and stop all this costly nonsense. HMRC defended allowing staff to take time off of their main roles to promote LGBTQ+ issues and said it was legally compelled to consider the needs of people with characteristics protected equality legislation. Actually, I don't think you'll find it is. I think it's legally compelled to treat everybody equally, to make sure that they don't breach the Equality Act. In the job advert, the PRISM network, clever net, PRISM, is described as being committed, I imagine most of them should be, to supporting all members of the LGBT+ community, and says this specifically include colleagues who are gay, lesbian, trans, non-binary and allies. Oh, get in the bin. Just get in the bin. Non-binary. It further states that successful candidates selected for the position will be expected to execute tasks such as promoting HMRC as an inclusive employer and submitting reports to the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion team. Right, okay, so what we've got is 3 people fanning about 1 day a week, talking about gusset fumbling and child harm, right, who report to a team called the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion team. Right? So that's 3 people. How many people are in the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion team? And if 3 people are reporting to the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion team, there must be more people that report to the Equality, Diversity. It's just a boondoggle. It's a Ponzi scheme, isn't it? It's a con, and the public are being conned, and they have every right to be angry about it. It's just insane that we're paying these people money to do this. Absolutely insane. They shouldn't be doing it at all. All affinity groups in all organisations should go, unless, like I said earlier on, it's the affinity group for, squirrel chasers or whatever it may be. What do you belong to an affinity group, Margaret? I do, love, yeah. And what's your affinity group? Crochet. Fabulous. Great. Let's have a crochet affinity group. George, what would you like? I'd like an affinity group based around cake baking. Yeah, we're cool with that. Go on, away you go. What about you? I want to do child harm. Yeah, we're cool with that. Great. Okay, off you go. Just insane. An HMR insider, it gets better, claimed that members of the LGBT advocacy group often led presentations for staff during work hours, with many focusing on the issue of trans rights. What a surprise. The whistleblower, who asked not to be named for fear of professional repercussions, that's worrying. We know that happens. We know what these people are like. They're vicious. Described one session held last year that lasted more than 45 minutes on being transgender and sharing pronouns. So 45 minutes of training from a person that's paid 20% of the time to do nothing but push this nonsense. And then they went on the session. I wonder how many people went on the session. So let's say civil service is a big place, isn't it? There must have been at least 200 went on that session. 200. So we're talking about 150 hours of staff time paid for by you and I for somebody to go and listen about gusset fumblers and pronoun sharing. Tossers. At this meeting, the insider said the presenter explained what it meant to be transgender, non-binary, intersex and cisgender, meaning someone who identifies as a gender which is the same as their birth. Right, so it's now us that's doing the identifying, is it? You bunch of tossers. Staff were encouraged to share their preferred pronouns to demonstrate their allyship to trans colleagues, while being introduced to the concept of gender-neutral pronouns such as "zen," they said. Up yours, that's mine. The insider said the network is basically just internal trans activists. They're supposed to be about supporting all gay staff. It's got nothing to do with gay staff. But really, it seems that the bulk of their work is about promoting gender ideology. Really, do you think so? Eh? Do you think it's possible? Now they're all so visible that we might actually go, you know what? You lot can F off. It's not going to happen, is it? Not while we've got bloody queer armour in the flipping. I nearly said White House. While we've got queer armour in number 10. Is it, eh? While I'm trying to do my actual job, said the whistleblower, I love this bit, they're just faffing around. Faffing around, making up training that is all based on their personal views. They are basically getting paid by the taxpayer to do peer-to-peer political activism. Absolutely right. Do you remember that thing with the CIPD I did? With the non-binary hyenas and the trans Jesus? This is the same shit, different day. SSDD! The revelations about the LGBT plus network came as the Public Accounts Committee accused HMRC of deliberately running its phone services to fail in a bid to force taxpayers online. Interesting. HMRC has not met an annual target for its telephone services since 2017-2018. Meanwhile, that's funny, it's right about the same time as this shit took off. Meanwhile, average call wait times exceed 23 minutes, and HMRC cut off nearly 44,000 taxpayers who had been waiting 70 minutes to speak to an advisor in the first 11 months of the 2023 to 24 tax year. Helen Joyce, lovely Helen, director of the campaign group Sex Matters, said, in the same week that people are scrambling to complete their tax returns and HMRC is in the spotlight for not hitting its customer service targets, these revelations on the embedding of fantasy beliefs on gender within the organisation are shocking. HMRC should be focused on special service delivery rather than selecting an employee who would dedicate 20% of their work week to promoting transgender rights to other HMRC employees during work hours. An HMRC spokesman said, we must legally meet our obligations under the public sector equality duty. I don't think you are. Are they? And like other organisations, large organisations, we have staff diversity networks. What for? If you've got a network that is specialist for a particular type of person because of an immutable characteristic, you're automatically breaching the public sector equality duty. That's what they don't get. By getting equality, diversity, and inclusion right, we would train and retain and recruit people with the skills we need and deliver effectively for customers. So effectively that you missed your target since 2017, 2018. What you are doing is practicing equity. What you are doing is pushing a child-harming and anti-human, anti-science, anti-reality cult, all in the name of gusset-fumbling men. And there we have it. Thank you very much for watching the Edijester. I'm off to laugh at something else. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.